a service of CNC Worldwide.
CNC Podcasts are a service of CNC Worldwide, brought to you by the Greece Chamber of Commerce, providing more than 800 member companies with business solutions since 1984. First, glad to be back and getting back to work putting these things together for you, and enough said about that. The man accused of raping a young Rochester woman on Liberty Pole Way last weekend has been accused of a previous sex crime. Michael Carruthers of Rochester was accused of forcibly touching a young woman as he tried to steal her cell phone. The case wasn't prosecuted because just over a week later he was arrested and prosecuted on more serious charges. Carruthers threatened and robbed his mother, carjacked a woman's SUV in an attempt to get away, and refused to let the woman go, so she escaped by jumping out of the moving car. He began the first of his 2 terms in state prisons for those crimes when he was 17. Now 23, Carruthers had just gotten out of state prison after his second sentence, and less than 24 hours later, a teenage girl accused him of raping her in downtown Rochester. On the 94th anniversary of women winning the right to vote in federal elections, the University of Rochester says it has come into possession of a newly discovered collection of Susan B. Anthony's letters. The Rochester suffragist wrote numerous letters from 1881 through 1900 to Rachel Foster Avery of Philadelphia, another suffragist that Anthony called her young lieutenant. This was during the time when Anthony was co-leader of the National American Women's Suffrage Association, fighting to get the vote for women. These were bought at auction last week by the University of Rochester libraries. They'll be digitized and made available online to historians. A bill signed into law by Governor Cuomo gives state permission for the town of Henrietta to issue $100 tax rebate checks to homeowners. The tax rebates still have to be approved by the town board. This comes about because the state comptroller criticized Henrietta for building up more of a surplus than it needed. An audit showed the town holding $10.7 million in surplus collected from taxpayers between 2008 and 2012. The surplus is now more than $12 million. Town officials decided to issue $100 rebates to about 10,000 homeowners to bring the surplus down to a more reasonable size. After receiving requests from across the country to deliver invocations before its board meetings, the town of Greece is working up a policy that will limit the practice to people from within the town itself. The Greece practice of allowing a speaker to deliver an opening prayer was upheld by the U.S. Supreme Court this year, as long as they don't exclude any particular group. The board approved a policy last week set to begin in January. It says the invocation should be delivered from a list of religious groups that have an established presence in Greece, meaning a member of the group must live in the town. One of the people who brought the original case against Greece says she'll wait and see how this works out. A Canadair regional jet with 49 people on board declared an emergency while on approach to the Greater Rochester International Airport Tuesday, but landed without incident. According to Monroe County Firewire, the plane's ram air turbine deployed in flight. The RAT is a small propeller-driven generator that provides power to a plane's critical systems in the event of an engine failure, and it's supposed to drop automatically from the plane's belly, but only when needed. The cause is under investigation. Birdwatchers found a young kestrel on the ground near Main and St. Paul Streets in downtown Rochester on Tuesday afternoon. Rochester Falcon Cam says animal control was called and the bird was taken for evaluation. Witnesses say the young bird appeared active and unafraid. OurFalconCam.com says this is definitely not one of Rochester's young peregrine falcons, which fledged earlier this summer and have been flying farther from home. According to Cornell University, an American kestrel is the smallest of North American falcons. It's about the size of a mourning dove. They feed on mice and other smaller prey. A Brockport man will serve 3 to 6 years in state prison after pleading guilty to the murder of a second man last fall. Thomas Bennett was charged with second-degree murder in the stabbing death of 24-year-old Noel Van Dorn back in October. This started with a fight on Clinton Street in the Village that escalated into a stabbing. Your next CNC podcast is whenever you click on one of these pages and catch one. We post updates as needed, and I'm Bud Lowell, CNC News.